We are. So it ended with what did it end with? Jahan. Okay, so Dustfinger has a daughter and a son, and then another daughter who died. Baby daughter. Rarely see snakes. Like last summer, I think I saw a total of 2 snakes all summer here, which is kind of crazy. There's gotta be something eating them here. The hawks, maybe? Look, I don't know. But I think I brought the hawks here this summer by feeding all the birds all winter, actually. Oops. Okay, no, the little boy Jahan, he is freaking Roxanne's dead ex-husband's son. So he's not gonna like Dustfinger at all, because Dustfinger is gonna come in trying to be like new dad and stuff, and he's just not gonna have it. Okay, so that's where we're at, and then this next chapter I'm about to read is gonna flash back over to Maggie's point of view. Okay, you scoot over here. Your little chain is kind of uncomfortable for me. I understand how ironic that sounds. Can you lay down here? That's okay too. But we're back in Maggie's point of view, and she's about to read her and Farid into his back. Y'all are gonna think I'm freaking hallucinating this thing. Yeah. Damn, it's gone again. Okay. But anyways, yeah, Maggie and Farid are gonna get right into the book now. Can you, like, back it up a bit? Just right, yeah, there you go. I'm so good at focusing. Chapter 9 is called Maggie Reads, and this excerpt is from If on a Winter's Night a Traveler? If on a Winter's Night a Traveler. I don't know what that is, but it's from Italo Calvino. What's up with my hair? Whatever. Okay. Don't ask where the rest of this book is. It is a shrill cry that comes from an undefined spot among the shelves. All books continue in the beyond. Okay. You know what I just realized? That all of my readings are going to have me lisping in them because I'm always wearing my freaking aligners. That's unfortunate. Okay. When all was quiet in Eleanor's house and the garden was bright in the moonlight, Maggie put on the dress that Risa had made for her. Several months ago, she had asked her mother what kind of clothes women wore in the ink world. Which women? Risa had inquired. Farmers' wives, strolling players, princes' daughters, maidservants. What did you wear? Maggie asked, and Risa had gone into the nearest town with Darius and bought some dress material there. Plain, coarsely woven red fabric. Then she had asked Eleanor to bring the old sewing machine up from the cellar. That's the sort of dress I wore when I was living in Capricorn's fortress as a maid. Her hands had said... Oh, I'm just reading shitty right now. Sorry, guys. I'll get the hang of it. I need water, though. Freaking sticky sap. You got a stick to make some mess? That's fun. What? I don't want to know, Topher. But no, I don't want to know. That's the sort of dress I wore when I was living in Capricorn's fortress as a maid, her hands had said, putting the finished dress over Maggie's head. So just a little insight, I guess. Risa, Maggie's mom, she can't talk. She's mute. She was read into the book and then back out of the book, and like she lost her voice. So yeah. So whenever it talks about like her hand said this, that's what they mean. Like she'll like say stuff, spell it out, or like she'll write stuff down. It would have been too fine for a peasant woman, but it was just about good enough for a rich man's wife. Oh, servant. Fuck, I suck. I'm sorry. But it was just about good enough for a rich man's servant, and Mortola was very keen that we shouldn't be much worse dressed than the prince's maids, even if we only served a gang of fire raisers. I'm just gonna flip around this way so the freaking wind stops messing with me. This is obnoxious. Where am I? Bro, how did I get here? Whoa. Maggie stood in front of her wardrobe mirror and examined herself in the dual glass. She looked strange to herself. And she'd be a stranger in the ink world, too. A dress alone couldn't alter that. A stranger just as Dustfinger was here, she thought. And she remembered the unhappiness in his eyes. Nonsense, she told herself crossly, pushing back her smooth hair. I'm not planning to spend 10 years there. The sleeves of the dress were already a little too short, and it was stretched tight over her chest, too. Good heavens, Maggie, Eleanor had exclaimed when she realized for the first time that they weren't as flat as the cover of a book anymore. Well, I imagine your Pippi Longstocking days are over now. They hadn't found anything suitable for Farrod to wear, not in the attic or the trunks of clothes down in the cellar that smelled of mothballs and cigar smoke, but he didn't seem to mind. Who cares? If it works, we'll sort it out in the forest, he said. No one will be interested in my jeans there, and as soon as we come to a village or town, I'll steal myself something to wear. Everything always seemed so simple to him. He couldn't understand that Maggie felt guilty because of Mo and Risa any more than he understood her anxiety to find the right clothes. When she confessed that she could hardly look Mo and her mother in the eye after deciding to go look with him, he had just asked why, looked at her blankly. You're 13. Surely they'd be marrying you off to someone quite soon anyway. Marrying me off? Maggie had felt the blood rise to her face. But how could she talk about such things to a boy out of a story in the 1001 Nights, where all women were servants or slave girls or lived in a harem? Anyway, added Farrod, kindly ignoring the fact that she was still blushing, you're not intending to stay there very long, are you? No, she wasn't. She wanted to taste and smell and feel the ink world, see fairies and princes, and then come home again to Mo and Risa, Eleanor and Darius. There was just one problem. The words Orpheus had written might take her to Dustfinger's story, but they couldn't bring her back. Only one person could write her back again. Finoglio, the inventor of the world she wanted to visit, the creator of the glassmen and blue-skinned fairies, of Dustfinger and Basta too. Yes, only Finoglio could help her to return. Every time Maggie thought of that, her courage drained away and she felt like canceling the whole plan, striking out those 3 little words she had added to what Orpheus had written. And the girl. Hold the book with what? Hot. Super hot. Suppose she couldn't find Finoglio. Suppose he wasn't even there in his own story anymore. Oh, come on, he must still be there, she told herself whenever that thought made her heart beat faster. He can't simply write himself back, not without someone to read what he's written aloud. But suppose Finoglio had found another reader there, someone like Orpheus or Darius. The gift didn't seem to be unique, and she and Mo had once thought. No, he's still there. I'm sure he is, thought Maggie for the 100th time, reading her goodbye letter to Mo and Risa once more. She herself didn't know why she had chosen to write it in the letterhead that she and Mo designed together. That was hardly going to mollify him. Dearest Mo, dear Risa. Maggie knew the words by heart. Please don't worry. Ferret has to find Dustfinger to warn him about Basta, and I'm going too. I won't stay long. I just want to see the Wayless Wood and the Laughing Prince and Cosimo the Fair. Perhaps the Black Prince and Cloud Dancer. I want to see the fairies again and the Glass Men and Finoglio. He'll write me back here. You know he can do it, so don't worry. Capricorn isn't in the ink world anymore after all. See you soon. Lots of love and kisses, Maggie. P.S. I'll bring you back a book, Mo. Oh. P.S. I'll bring you back a book, Mo. Apparently there are wonderful books there, handwritten books full of pictures. Like the ones in Eleanor's glass cases, only even better. Please don't be angry. She had torn up this letter and written it 3 times, but that had made matters no better, because she knew that there were no words that could stop Mo from being angry with her and Risa from weeping with anxiety, the way she did the day Maggie came home from school 2 hours later than usual. She put the letter on her pillow, they couldn't miss seeing it there, and went over to the mirror again. Maggie, she thought, what are you doing? What do you think you're doing? But her reflection did not reply. When she let Ferret into her room just after midnight, he was surprised to see her dress. I don't have shoes to go with it, she said, but luckily it's quite long, and I don't think my boots show much, do they? Ferret just nodded. It looks lovely, he murmured awkwardly. Maggie locked the door after letting him in and took the key out of the lock so that it could be unlocked again from the outside. Eleanor had a second key, and though she probably wouldn't be able to find it at first, Darius would know where it was. Maggie glanced at the letter on her pillow once more. Over his shoulder, Ferret had the backpack she had found in the Eleanor's attic. Oh, he's welcome to it, Eleanor had said whenever Maggie asked her. It once belonged to an uncle of mine. I hated him. The boy can put that smelly Martin in it. I like the idea. The Martin. Maggie's heart missed a beat. Ferret didn't know why Dustfinger had left Gwen behind, and Maggie hadn't told him, although she knew the reason only too well. She herself, after all, had told Dustfinger what part the Martin was to play in his story. He was to die a dreadful, violent death because of Gwen, if what Finoglio had written came true. But Ferret just shook his head sadly when she asked him about the Martin. He's gone, said the boy. I tied him up in the garden because the bookworm woman kept on at me about her birds, but he gnawed through the rope. I've looked for him everywhere, but I just can't find him. Clever Gwen. He'll have to stay here, said Maggie. Orpheus didn't write anything about him, and Risa will look after him. She likes him. Ferret nodded and glanced unhappily at the window, but he didn't contradict her. The Wayless Wood, that was where Orpheus's words would take them. Bro, this little fucking bug is gonna get smushed and die. Ferret knew where Dustfinger had meant to go after arriving to the forest, to Umbra, where the Laughing Prince's castle stood, and that was where Maggie hoped to find Finoglio too. He had often told her about Umbra when they were both Capricorn's prisoners. My phone, my chat. One night, when neither of them could sleep because Capricorn's men were shooting at stray cats outside again, Finoglio had whispered to Maggie, if I could choose to see one place in the ink world, then it would be Umbra. After all, the Laughing Prince is a great lover of books, which can hardly be said of his adversary, the Adderhead. Yes, life must surely be good for a writer in Umbra. A room in an attic somewhere, perhaps in the alley where the cobblers and saddlers work. Their trades don't smell too bad. Is that a bird? Can you guys see? Where am I? Oh, their shades don't smell too bad, and a glass man to sharpen my quills, a few fairies over my bed, and I could look down into the alley through my window to see all life pass by. What are you taking with you? Baird's voice startled Maggie out of her thoughts. You know we're not supposed to bring too much. Of course I know. Did you think that just because she was a girl she needed a dozen dresses? All she was going to carry was the old leather bag that had always gone with her and Mo on their travels when she was little. It would remind her of Mo, and she hoped that in the ink world it would be as inconspicuous as her dress. But the things she stuffed into it would certainly attract attention if anyone saw them. A hairbrush made of plastic, modern like the buttons on the cardigan she had packed. Also a couple of pencils, a penknife, a photograph of her parents, and one of Eleanor. She had thought hard about what book to take. Going without one would have seemed to her like setting off naked, but it mustn't be a heavy book, so it had to be a paperback. Books and beach clothes, Mo called them, badly dressed for most occasions, but useful when you're on vacation. Eleanor didn't have a single paperback on her shelves, but Maggie herself owned a few. In the end, she had decided on one that Risa had given her, a collection of stories set near the lake that lay close to Eleanor's house. That way she would be taking a little bit of home with her, for Eleanor's house was her home now, more than anywhere else she had ever been. And who knew, maybe Finoglia would be able to use the words in it to write her back again, back into her own story. Be right back, guys. I'm gonna run and get some things. Ding. You're so precious. Sun going down soon. Like 5 o'clock. It's probably gonna be like two-ish more hours, maybe more. Between 2 and 3 hours from now. It looks like it's raining over there a little bit. Way over there. Oh, it's so hard to look like that. It's so pretty though. I like her still in the show. Okay, I guess I should get back to this. Song request. You can put like any music you want requested in Discord and I'll for sure see it, but if you put it in here I usually screenshot it and I'll try to remember to get to it later. But yeah, like 8 in the morning. Yeah. What time does the sun rise there for you? Here it's like 7-ish. Sort of. Maybe like 6:30. It's like 6:30 to 7, kind of. Sing while I read. What? You want me to like sing the book? Or what? But I've made a playlist actually for chat. I forgot to tell y'all that about today. Oh, I forgot. I was gonna play that playlist today. But yeah, guys, I made a playlist for all of the songs that chat's requested in Discord. I put them all on a playlist on Spotify. It's called The Garden. If you guys want to go check that out. What are you eating, dude? Oh, for real, what are you eating? Go off. Okay. This is an awesome view, isn't it? It's really nice here. Closed my chat. Oops. Okay, we're good. Get out of the way of the sun back there. The beautiful sun. What are you doing? You stuck? You'll figure it out. It's way too bright. I cannot deal. Okay. Where was I? Eleanor didn't have a single paperback on her shelves, but Maggie herself owned a few. In the end, she had decided on one that Risa had given her. Oops, more on the crinkly blanket. Where did I put this? Yeah. I lost where I was again. Oh my god. Did I just read this or... I don't know. In the end, she had decided on one that Risa had given her, a collection of stories set near the lake that lay close to Eleanor's house. That way she would be taking a little bit of home with her. For Eleanor's house was her home now, more than anywhere else had ever been. And who knew, maybe Finoglio would be able to use the words in it to write her back again, back into her own story. Ferret had gone to the window. It was open and a cool wind was blowing into the room, moving the curtains that Risa had made. Maggie shivered in her new dress. The nights were still very mild, but what would the season be in the ink world? Perhaps it was winter there. I ought to say goodbye to him, at least, murmured Farid. Gwen, he called softly into the night air, clicking his tongue, but Maggie quickly pulled him away from the window. Don't do that, she snapped. Do you want to wake everyone up? I've already told you, Gwen will be fine here. He's probably found a female martin by now. There are a few around the place. Eleanor's always afraid they'll eat the nightingale that sings outside her window in the evening. Farid looked very unhappy, but he stepped back from the window. Why are you leaving it open? He asked. Suppose Basta... He didn't finish his sentence. Eleanor's alarm system works even if there's an open window, was all Maggie said. Well, she put the notebook Mo had given her in her bag. There was a reason why she didn't want to close the window. One night in a hotel by the sea, not far from Capricorn's village, she had persuaded Mo to read her a poem about a moonbird asleep in a peppermint wind. Next morning, the bird was fluttering against the window of their hotel room, and Maggie couldn't forget how its little head kept colliding with the glass again and again. Her window must stay open. We'd better sit close to each other on the sofa, she said, and sling your backpack over your back. Ferret obeyed. He sat down on the sofa as hesitantly as he had on her chair. It was an old velvet button-backed sofa with tassels, its pale green upholstery very worn. You need somewhere comfortable to sit and read, Eleanor had said when she asked Darius to put it in Maggie's room. Are you stuck? Gotta go around. Do you know what that means? Can you go around? No? No thoughts? I'm coming. You know that way? Bruh. You just hear something crazy? Come on. Zoe. Come on. Magic. Honestly, it sounded like the scream of a man who had just caught a fish. I want to feel that again. Hello. Yeah. I'm just gonna start wearing socks 24/7 on freaking stream. I hear a big bird. Dude, what is this? Where do you go? Where did you come from? Where did you go? I can't see, dude. It's so bright out here. Okay. Ferret obeyed. He sat down on the sofa as hesitantly as he had on her chair. I don't even know that. Eleanor had said when she asked Darius to put it in Maggie's room. What would Eleanor say when she found that Maggie had gone? Would she understand? She'll probably swear a lot, thought Maggie, kneeling beside her school bag. And then she'll say, damn it, why didn't the silly girl take me too? That would be Eleanor all over. Maggie suddenly wanted to see her again, but she tried not to think of any of them anymore. Not Eleanor or Risa or Mo. Particularly not Mo, for she might have only too clear an idea of what he'd look like when he found her letter. No, stop it, she told herself. She quickly reached into her school bag and took out her geography book. The sheet of paper that Ferret had brought with him was in there, beside her own copy of it, but Maggie took out only the copy in her own handwriting. I can, feel how stupid I'm reading. Ferret moved aside as she sat down next to him, and for a moment, Maggie thought she saw something like fear in his eyes. What's the matter, she asked. Have you changed your mind? But he shook his head. No, it's just, it hasn't ever happened to you, has it? What? For the first time, Maggie noticed that he had a beard coming in. It looked odd on his young face. Well, what? What happened to Darius? Dude, I seriously can't see. Okay, what if I move like this way? I need my chat to move with me. Damn, we're already in the yellow on battery, really? Oh, we're good. It's just being dramatic. See when if you don't. I try to just not even freaking ever have it camera either. I mean, anyway, just keep the camera like up above all of that. There we go. Shade. Can't see, dude. I'm blind out here. Literally blinded by the light. What? And for the first time, Maggie noticed... I just read this, whatever. Okay, noticed that he had a beard coming in. It looked odd on his young face. Well, what happened to Darius? Ah, that was it. He was afraid of arriving in Dustfinger's world with a twisted face or a stiff leg or mute like Risa. No, of course not. Maggie couldn't help the note of injury that crept up into her voice. Although, could she really be sure that Finoglio had arrived unharmed on the other side? Finoglio, the steadfast tin soldier, she had never seen people again after sending them away onto the letters of the page. She'd seen only those who come out of the pages. Never mind. Don't think so much, Maggie. Read, or you may lose courage before you even feel the first word on your tongue. Barrett cleared his throat as if he and not Maggie must start reading. So what was she waiting for? Did she expect Mo to knock on her door and wonder why she had locked it? All had been quiet next door for some time. Her parents were asleep. Don't think of them, Maggie. Don't think of Mo or Risa or Eleanor. Dude, I don't think I'm gonna be able to freaking stay out here. I can see fine over here. I just need to find the shade. It's way over here. Yeah, I really need to move the blanket. I'm like almost done with this freaking chapter though. That's all I'm trying to get through. Can you come over here? This is so dumb that I can't see because it's bright. Come on, eyes. Don't think of them, Maggie. Don't think of Risa or Eleanor or Mo. Just think of the words and the place where you want them to take you. A place of marvels and adventures. Maggie looked at the letters on the page, black and carefully shaped. She tried the taste of the first few syllables on her tongue, tried to picture the world of which the words whispered, the trees, the birds, the strange sky. Then she began to read. Her heart was thudding almost as violently as it had on the night she had been meant to use her voice to kill. Yet this time she had to do much less. She had only to open a door, nothing but a door between the worlds, just large enough for her and Fairy to pass through. A fresh fragrance rose to her nostrils. What? A fresh fragrance rose to her nostrils, the scent of thousands and thousands of leaves. Then everything disappeared. Her desk, the lamp beside her, the open window. The last thing that Maggie saw was Gwen sitting on the windowsill, snuffling and looking at them. Aw. Gwen the Martin. Could never read a book this thick. And what? This isn't even a big book. No, it's getting shady. Okay, definitely about to scoot us, though. Because I'm, like, blind out here. Wow, it's just a person. It's fine. They're cool. Blinded by the light. Can you come over here? Can you stay? Stay for a sec. Are you trying to go for a ride? Well, that bird sounded like a fire alarm. Smoke detector. Okay, I think we're good. Again. Someone gifted a sub? Did I miss somebody gifting? I have the speaker turned down right now for alerts or reading. Damn, it's getting very cold out here now. I moved all in the shade and stuff. How much more am I gonna read? To here is where I want to read. Oh, you can tell. Mark, thank you. Thank you so much for gifting a sub. I'm sorry the alerts are off right now. I turned it down for the TTS. Hey. This way. This way. This way. This way. And this way. Thank you. What? That are hot but not wet? What? I feel like I should just stop because I'm reading so bad today, but whatever. You lay down? Wait, are you cold? You're not cold, are you? You're literally covered in fur. Okay, chapter 10, The Ink World. Dun dun dun. This excerpt is from Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. Thus sharply did the terrified three learn the difference between an island of make-believe and the same island come true. I see. So, for y'all who don't know, the little excerpt book. Hey, no, this way. Bro, you're gonna knock over the dilly thing. Let me, oh, it's this one. I don't know if that was a bug or... You don't got no bugs, do you? Ticks. I hope there's not ticks here. Indeed. My chat went off again, sorry. Yeah. It's taking me way too long to read this. Okay, come here, come on. Just wait. You're gonna get... Just wait. Okay, now. Yeah. You just ain't gonna get comfortable, are you? Me either. Oh my god, it's literally me. What have I done? What have I become? It was bright. Sunlight filtered through the countless leaves. Shadows danced on a nearby pool, and a swarm of tiny red elves was whirring above the dark water. I can do it. That was Maggie's first thought when she sensed the letters on the page really had let her through, and she wasn't in Eleanor's house anymore, but somewhere very, very different. I can do it. I can read myself into a story. She really had slipped through the words, as she'd so often done in her mind, but this time she wouldn't have to slip into the skin of a character in the story. No, this time she would be in the story herself. Part of it. Her very own self, Maggie. Not even that man Orpheus had done it. He read Dustfinger home, but couldn't read himself into the book, right into it. No one but Maggie had ever done it before. Not Orpheus, not Darius, not Mo. Maggie looked around, almost as if she'd hoped she might be standing behind her. Almost as if she hoped he might be standing behind her. As usual, when they were in a strange place, but only Farrad was there, looking around as incredulously as she was. Eleanor's house was far, far away. Her parents were gone, and there was no way back. Quite suddenly, Maggie felt fear rise in her like a black, brackish water. She felt lost, terribly lost, felt it in every part of her. She didn't belong here. What had she done? She stared at the paper in her hand, so useless now, the bait she had swallowed. Benoglio's story had caught her. The sense of triumph had carried her away just now. Was gone as if it had never been. My doggy's just staring at the water. Fear had extinguished it. Fear she had made a terrible mistake and it could never be put right. Maggie tried desperately to find some other feeling in her heart, but there was nothing, not even curiosity about the world now surrounding her. I want to go back, that was all she could think. But Farrad turned to her and smiled. Look at those trees, Maggie, he said. They really do grow right up to the sky. Look at them. He ran his fingers over his face, felt his nose and mouth, looked down at himself, and on realizing that he was obviously entirely unharmed, began leaping around like a grasshopper. He made his way over the tree roots that wound through the moss that grew thick and soft between them, jumping from root to root, and then turned around and around, laughing, arms outstretched, until he was dizzy and staggered back against the nearest tree. Still laughing, he leaned against its trunk, which was so vast that 5 grown men with their arms stretched out could hardly have encompassed it, and looked up into the tangle of twigs and branches. You did it, Maggie, he cried. You did it. Hear that, cheese face? He shouted in the trees. You can do it, using your words. She can do what you've never tried, or she could do what you've tried thousands of times. She can do it, and you can't. He laughed again, as gleefully as a small child, until he noticed that Maggie was perfectly silent. What's the matter? He asked, indicating her mouth in alarm. You haven't lost her voice like her mother, had she? Her tongue felt heavy, but the words came out. Okay, you gotta come back this way. No, I'm all right. Farrod smiled with relief. His carefree mood soothed Maggie's fears, and for the first time she really looked around her. They were in a valley, a broad, densely wooded valley among hills with trees standing so close together on their slopes that the crowns grew into one another. Chestnut and oak on the hillsides, ash and poplar further down, mingling their leaves with the silvery foliage of the willows. The wayless wood deserved its name. It seemed to have no end and no beginning. Like a green sea where you could drown as easily as in the wet and salty waves of its sister, the ocean. Isn't this incredible? Isn't it amazingly wonderful? Farrod laughed so exuberantly that an animal of some kind, invisible among the leaves, snarled angrily down at them. Dustfinger told me about it, but it's even better than he said. How can there be so many different kinds of leaves? And just look at all the flowers and berries. We won't starve here. Farrod picked a berry, round and blue, and sniffed it and put it in his mouth. I once knew an old man, he said, wiping the juice from his lips, who used to tell stories at night by the fire. This way, this way, this way. She keeps like almost knocking over the camera. I could probably just let her off. She doesn't really wander around that much. I just don't feel like worrying about it if somebody else walks out or another dog or something. Here, you stay here, okay? You stay around here. So, Farrod and Maggie are like my favorite. I just have to say that. They're like my favorite part of both of these, all three of these books. Really, Eleanor is too, though. Eleanor's so fucking funny. I just like these books. I once knew an old man, he said, wiping juice from his lips, who used to tell stories at night by the fire. Stories about paradise. This is just how he described it. Carpets of moss, pools of cool flowers. What? Pools of cool water. Flowers and sweet berries everywhere. Trees growing up to the sky, and the voices of their leaves speaking to the wind above you. Can you hear them? Hey, this way. Yes, Maggie could, and she could see elves, swarms of them, tiny creatures with red skins. Risa had told her about them. They were swirling like midges above a pool of water, only a few steps away, which reflected the leaves of the trees. It was surrounded by bushes that bore red flowers, and the water was covered with their faded petals. Maggie couldn't see any blue fairies, but she did see butterflies, bees, birds, spiders' webs was still silvery with dew, although the sun was high in the sky. Lizards, rabbits, there was a rustling and a rushing all around them. Dude, I can't see. Ah. It's so bright again. I'm good at reading, you think so? I feel like I'm so bad at it. Okay, here we go. This direction. I feel like I stutter a lot and I miss my place a lot, and I'll be reading stuff like, I don't know, it comes out so stupid. But thank you. Hey, get over here. Come here. There's humans. Okay, you're good. Is it already like 5? Holy shit, it is 5:06. Damn. People already here. I'm gonna start getting on stream earlier, for real. I try every morning, guys. Like, I try to wake up and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get on here bright and early. I'm gonna seize the day. I'm gonna have all hours of daylight to just do whatever I want. And then it's like, I don't know what happens. researching random topics. Hi, Birdie. For real. For real, get on earlier. What if I got on at like 6 in the morning? That's early. I could get on at like, yeah, I don't know. When did I get on today? I meant to get on at like 10. And I think it was way later than that. I think it was like noon. Like, it's really my goal every day to be on around 8 to 10 o'clock. Never happens. Rarely. And then the one days that I do get on time, everybody's like, oh my God, you're on here so early today. And I'm like, yeah. For sure. Where was I here? I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. I wake up at around 7 to 8. Kind of just depends on when I go to bed. But I really am like a person who sleeps around 8 hours usually. Yep. Pretty solid 8-hour sleeper. It's like midnight to 8 a.m. almost, pretty consecutively. But most of the time it's like, sometimes I'll go to bed at like 10 if I'm having an early night. Hey, no, oh, thank you so much for subscribing. That was a sub, right? I have the speaker off because it's reading time. So I'm sorry for that. No alert, but thank you. Woo! Woo! Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna finish so we can move on to our next thing. I just keep getting distracted. I knew it was gonna be like this. I already knew. Did it anyway. Hey, can you like be free this direction? Why do you gotta go that way? Cause that's where you're not supposed to go? That's really why, huh? You're just like a little kid, dude. And me. Okay. Dude, I'm not here. Okay. Maggie couldn't see any blue fairies, but she did see butterflies, bees, birds, spiders' webs still silvery with dew, although the sun was high in the sky, lizards, rabbits. There was a rustling and a rushing all around them, a crackling and a scratching and a pulsing. There was a hissing and a cooing and a chirping. This world seemed to be bursting with life, and yet it seemed as quiet as well. Wonderfully quiet, as if time didn't exist, as if there were no beginning or end to the present moment. Do you think he came here too? Barrett looked around wistfully, as if hoping that Dustfinger would appear among the trees at any moment. Yes, of course. Orpheus must have bred him to this very place, don't you think? He told me about that pool and the red elves and the trees over there with the pale bark where you can find their nests. And then you must follow a stream, he said, a stream going north. For in the south lies Argenta, where the adderhead rolls, and you'll be hanged from the gallows there quicker than you can say your name. But I'd better take a look up from there. Quick as a squirrel, he climbed a sapling, and before Maggie knew it, he had caught a hold of a woody vine and was hauling himself up to the top. What are you doing? Of a gigantic tree. What the hell? What are you doing? She called after him. You can always see further from up here. You can always see more from farther up. Lilac, what What are you doing? Lila, go over here. There's somebody coming. Come on. You're literally right in the road. Lilac does what she wants. That was funny. Hey, come here. Can you stay over this way? This side? This side. That's, I think, what she knows. There's a truck coming. Oh, she's trying to do business, I think. I'm just gonna... Oh, no, you're not. Why do you look so sus, dude? I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it through this chapter. Swear. Farid was hardly visible among the branches now. Maggie folded up the sheet of paper with Orpheus's words on it and put it in her bag. She didn't want to see the letters anymore. They seemed to her like poisonous beetles, like Alice in Wonderland's bottle saying, "Drink me." Her fingers touched the notebook with its marbled paper cover, and suddenly she had tears in her eyes. "When you come to a charcoal burner's hut," said Dustfinger had said, "then you know you're out of the wayless wood." Farid's voice came down to her like the sound of a strange bird. "I remember every word," he said, "as if I want them to... I remember every word," he said. "If I want them to, words stick in my memory like flies sticking to resin. I don't need paper to put them on, not me. You just have to find the charcoal burners and the black patches they leave on the forest floor," he said. "And you know the world of humans isn't far off. Follow the stream that springs from the water nymph's pool, and it will lead you straight to the Lombrica and the Laughing Prince's realm. Soon you'll see his castle on the eastern slope of a hill, high above a river. It's gray as a wasp's nest, and the city is all around it, with a marketplace where you can breathe fire right up to the sky." Maggie was kneeling among the flowers, violets and purple bellflowers, most of them fading now, but they were still fragrant and smelled so sweet that she felt dizzy. A wasp was zooming around them, or did it just look like a wasp? How much had Finoglio copied from his own world, and how much had he made up? It all seemed so familiar and yet so strange. "Isn't it lucky he told me about everything in such detail?" Maggie saw Farid's bare feet. He was swinging through the leaves at a dizzy height. Dustfinger often couldn't sleep at night. He was afraid of his dreams. "I used to wake him up when they were bad, and then we sat by the fire and I asked him questions. I do that very well. I'm brilliant at asking questions. You bet I am." Maggie couldn't help smiling at the pride in his voice. She looked up at the canopy of foliage and saw that the leaves were turning color as they had been in Eleanor's garden too. Did the two worlds keep time with each other? And had they always kept time, or did their stories become inextricably linked only on the day when Mo brought Capricorn, Basta, and Dustfinger from... Hey, where are you going? From one into the other. She would not... Hey, get over here! Snap out of it! I think she locked eyes with another doggy. Yeah, you did, huh? Come over here. I'm not gonna link you up if you chill. Could you move a bit? We're on page 106 or 107. Did the two worlds keep time with each other? And I already read that, whatever. She would never find out the answer, for who could know? There was a rustling under one of the bushes, a thorny shrub heavy with dark berries. Wolves and bears, cats with dappled fur. Risa had told her about them too. Involuntarily, Maggie stepped back, but her dress caught on some tall thistles, white with their own downy seed heads. "Farid," she called, angry with herself when she heard the fear in her voice. "Farid!" But he didn't seem to hear her. He was still chattering away to himself, high among the branches, carefree as a bird in the sunshine. While she, Maggie, was down here among the shadows. Shadows that moved, had eyes, growled. Was that a snake? She freed her dress with such a violent tug that it tore and stumbled further back until she came up against the rough trunk of an oak tree. The snake slid past quickly, as if the sight of Maggie had made it mortally afraid too. But there was still something moving under the bush, and finally a head pushed out from the prickly twigs. It was furry and round-nosed, and it had tiny horns between its ears. "No," whispered Maggie. "Oh, no." Gwyn stared at her almost reproachfully, as if he thought it was her fault that his fur was all full of fine prickles. Farid's voice above her was more distinct now. Obviously, he was finally coming down from his lookout post. "No hut, no castle, nothing in sight," he called. "It'll be a few days before we get out of this forest." No. But that's how Dustfinger wanted it. He wanted to take his time coming back to the world of humans. I think he was almost more homesick for the trees and fairies than for other people. Well, I don't know about you, and the trees are beautiful, very beautiful, but personally, I'd like to see the castle too, and the other strolling players, and the men-at-arms. He jumped down on the grass, hopped on one leg through the carpet of blue flowers, and let out a cry of delight when he saw the marten. "Gwyn, oh, I knew you'd heard me. Come here, you son of a devil and a snake. Won't Dustfinger be surprised to see we've brought him his old friend after all?" "Oh, won't he just," thought Maggie. "Fear will take his breath away. He'll go weak at the knees." The marten jumped onto Farid's knee as the boy crouched down in the grass and affectionately licked his chin. He would have bitten anyone else, even Dustfinger, but with Farid he acted like a young kitten. "Shoo him away, Farid." Maggie's voice sounded sharper than she had intended. "Shoo him away?" Farid laughed. "What are you talking about? Hear that, Gwyn? What have you done to offend her? Left a dead mouse on one of her precious books." "Shoo him away," I said. "He'll be all right on his own. You know he will. Please," she added, seeing his horrified expression as he looked at her. Farid straightened up the marten in his arms. His face was more hostile than she had ever seen it before. Gwyn jumped on his shoulder and stared at Maggie as if he had understood every word she said. Very well then, she'd just have to tell Farid, but how? "Didn't Dustfinger tell you?" "Tell me what?" He looked at her as if he'd like to hit her. Above them, the wind blew through the leaf canopy like a menacing whisper. "If you don't shoo Gwyn away," said Maggie, although each word was difficult to utter, "then Dustfinger will, and he'll chase you away too." The marten was still staring at her. "Why would he do a thing like that? You don't like him, that's what it is. You never liked Dustfinger, and you don't like Gwyn either." "That's not true, you don't understand." Maggie's voice was loud and shrill. "He's going to die because of Gwyn. Dustfinger dies, that's how Finoglio wrote the story. Perhaps it's been changed. Perhaps this is a new story we're in and everything in the book is just a pile of dead words, but all the same." Maggie hadn't had the heart to go on. Farid stood there shaking his head again and again as if her words were like needles digging into it, hurting him. "He's going to die?" His voice was barely audible. "He dies in the book?" How lost he looked standing there with the marten still perched on his shoulder. He looked at the trees around them in horror, as if they were all intent on killing Dustfinger. But if I'd known that," he stammered, "I'd have torn up Cheeseface's wretched piece of paper. I'd have never let him read Dustfinger back." Maggie just looked at him. What could she say? Oh my God. Who kills him? Basta? Lilac, where'd you go? I figured. Who kills him? Basta? Two squirrels were chasing around overhead. They had white spots as if someone had shaken a paintbrush over them. The marten wanted to go after them, but Farid seized his tail and held it tight. "Hi!" "One of Capricorn's men, that's all Finoglio wrote." "But they're all dead." "We don't know that." Maggie would have been only too glad to comfort him, but she didn't know how. Suppose they're still alive in this world, and even if they aren't. Mo and Darius didn't read all of them out. Some are still sure to be here. Dustfinger tries to save Gwen from them, and they'll kill him. That's what it says in the book, and Dustfinger knows it. That's why he left the Martin behind. Yes, so he did. Barrett looked around as if seeking some solution, a way he could send the Martin back again. Gwen nuzzled his cheeks with his nose, and Maggie saw the tears in Farrod's eyes. Wait here, he said, and he turned abruptly and went off with the Martin. He had gone only a few paces before the forest swallowed him up like a frog swallowing a fly, and Maggie stood there on her own among the flowers. Some of them grew in Eleanor's garden too, but this wasn't Eleanor's garden. This wasn't even the same world, and this time she couldn't just close the book and be back again, back in her own room on the sofa that smelled of Eleanor. The world beyond the words on the page was wide. Hadn't she always known it? Wide enough for her to be lost there forever. Only one person could write her out of it again, an old man, and Maggie didn't even know where he lived, in this world he had created. She didn't know if he was still alive. Could this world live if its creator was dead? Why not? Books didn't stop existing just because their authors have died, do they? What have I done, thought Maggie as she stood there waiting for Farrod to come back. Oh, Mo, what have I done? Can't you fetch me back again? I think I'm going to not read the next chapter because I'm freezing. We're going to go inside.